Back on your TYT Sports screens here to discuss European Championships 2016, the Euros. The draw was made over the weekend, and there are some mouth-watering games in there to touch on. Let's take a quick look at the group before we get into some discussion about who we're looking forward to seeing playing in the Euros. So, straight in there at Group A, it is, of course, the host, France, Romania, Albania, and Switzerland. Group B, a great matchup in there between England and Wales going to come to fruition. Russia and Slovakia make up that group. C, Germany, Ukraine. They just can't seem to escape Poland, can they? Germany, Poland in the same group again as they were in the qualifying stages. Northern Ireland in that tough group there. And in it, Group D, we have Spain, Czech Republic, Turkey, and Croatia. E, considered already the group of death. Belgium, Italy, Republic of Ireland, Sweden. Group F, Portugal, Iceland, Austria, and Hungary. So, as always, and as expected, there's going to be some fantastic games taking place this summer in the Euros. But we want to take this route a little bit different. We want to. Everyone's already touching on the group and who is going to emerge from the group of death. But we have Chris on here, contributing writer for 90min.com, and we're going to discuss some, I would say, separate topics from what is expected to be covered. And I wanted to touch on, first and foremost, looking at the groups, Chris. Do you think there are certain teams in there that have a point to prove after their World Cup performance? So I'm talking about Spain, I'm talking about Italy. When you're looking at their group, what do you think they're setting out to do in these Euros? Do you think they have a point to prove that they're going to come back to their best in this major competition?
Oh, frankly, I think Spain are going to be deeply disappointed if they don't, at the very least, get to the final, if not defend their title, because there's a lot of strong teams in Europe, but there's no one that's absolutely infallible. They've got a group that would have been absolutely terrifying 10 years ago, but at the moment, it's all kind of teams in decline. They should get through their group well enough there. Italy, obviously, have been on a something of a downward spiral for a little while now. You know, Pirlo's retiring. Gianluigi Buffon is about 7,000 years old. But, you know, they've got a really tough group there.
Yeah.
Throwing it out to maybe Group F, Portugal is not the easiest of groups, and maybe not as a team they've got so much to prove because, you know, they've got a really reasonably inexperienced side, but I think Cristiano Ronaldo's absolutely going to explode if he doesn't prove himself in a major tournament properly sooner or later. So I think he's, you know, it's probably his last real chance.
Yeah, I have to agree with the points on Italy. I mean, it was an aging team, and they in the World Cup were deeply disappointing. I'm looking to players such as Verratti to try and come into fruition and be really a figure that's going to influence those around him. For Italy in this tournament, he's playing very well at PSG, and with Pirlo retiring, you need someone in there to kind of take up that void. And when they have, I think their biggest problem is the strike force, but you have more players emerging now in Italy as a whole, and you're hoping that these players will start to lead this team back to where they were previous when they had your Inzaghi's and your Di Baggios, and even before that, obviously, in their World Cup winning team. And more recent, they didn't have, I would say, necessarily fantastic strikers, but it had a very good, close-knit team that were hard to break down. And I think with the aging players in there, they can still put up a great run. I think defensively, they're still going to have Chiellini, they're still going to have that Barzagli, they're almost a Juventus back four that's going to be hard to break. But looking, as you mentioned there, at Portugal, I completely agree. Cristiano Ronaldo, as much as I often defend Cristiano because when people compare him to Lionel Messi in terms of an international front, I think they're separated by miles in terms of their teams. Portugal, for me, have never been a world-class team. They have maybe two or three players, I think, next to Cristiano that are of, I would say, potentially world-class quality, but they need to be on their game. So you see Pepe, when he's in the right frame of mind, is a good defender in there to help and assist him. But when you look at Argentina, when they compare Ronaldo and Messi, they're worlds apart when you see the players that Lionel Messi has with him. So I think I agree with that. I just don't see Portugal. I see them emerging from the group, but I don't see them putting together a strong run in this competition because I still haven't seen enough talent come together to try and assist Cristiano Ronaldo, especially in a tournament like this. There's so much competition in there. And so let's touch on England because we have to obviously think about the group that they have. So close rivals, Wales versus England is going to prove a fantastic game. Gareth Bale given the platform to prove himself to his close neighbours and potentially lead Wales in what they would view as a historic victory if they could pull one over on their neighbours, England. But England, to me, many people obviously expecting them to appear with great potential and then just completely just end up struggling as they usually do. But what I think with England this year is they actually have made some good decisions to bring in the youth, and they're allowing the youth to be able to take forward. When you see players like Sterling, if Sturridge is going to be fit in there, Jamie Vardy, who, of course, scoring everything he touches is turning to gold in the Premier League, Barkley in there. I think those type of players can help push England to the next level. I think they haven't been given the easiest group, but when you look at the group of obviously Germany and you look at Italy's group compared to what Ireland have to face, I think they have been given somewhat of a generous group in there in the way that they can advance. Now, it's just going to come down to what Roy Hodgson decides to play and the formation that he lays up with, and whether or not he's going to put his faith in the youth, or whether or not he's going to rely on the likes of Wayne Rooney to consistently lead the line, which I think is the wrong decision. But I'll ask you, as from your country and looking at your country obviously closely, what would you like to see from Roy Hodgson in these Euros?
No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right about Rooney. I don't trust him up front. He keeps scoring for England, just about. Goodness only knows how. I mean, he's been playing, obviously not the strongest teams. When he gets up against the teams in maybe the quarterfinals, semi-finals, that's going to be much more of a challenge than, Russia and Slovakia. They're passable teams, but they're the kind of teams that England have cruised past in the qualifying stages. Wales is going to be tricky. That's a grudge match for me. I lived there for about a dozen years. I'm
going to put you on the spot. Early predictions. What team do you think standalone favourites? Is it the World Cup holders, Germany, or do you see someone else potentially making a run and taking this tournament?
It's got to be Germany as favourites, isn't it? I mean, Belgium are world number ones, but they've just not proved it as a team consistently. They've got all the bits, but they just can't put them together. Spain are almost on home turf, but they've been, again, really hit and miss. France, I don't trust I trust about as much as England. Yeah. It's kind of Germany by process of elimination. I just don't think there's anyone good enough to beat them.
Germany, it would take a lot to move them from being the favourites. It's not like they're going to have aging talent. I think the biggest miss is going to be Philipp Lahm, but at the same time, you're still going to have many players in there to fill that void. And the talent that you see emerging from Germany, even if they have a fit Marco Reus, which they didn't have in the World Cup, that's just another additional piece of firepower that they can put up top. And I think that it's going to take a lot to beat the Germans. And you heard it here. That's our predictions. Thanks again for joining us here, Chris from 90 Min. Make sure to check out that website. We'll leave it all in the description below. Come back over to TYT Sports. There'll be plenty of more Euro 2016 talk as we emerge closer to the tournament, which happens in the summer. This is a hands up.